A lot of people don't realize just how important physical media was in determining whether a movie was successful or not. A movie that underperforms at the box office used to have the opportunity to find a second life on home media. And there was even a chance they could recoup some of the money lost in physical media sales. This was especially important for smaller films that didn't have the financial backing that your big budget blockbusters do. So with the death of physical media happening right before our eyes, you should all know that this is one of the biggest reasons why we don't have variety in our films coming out of Hollywood anymore. So it's only fitting that Disney, the most creatively bankrupt and lazy company in the film industry, be the first to put the final nail in the physical media coffin. Let's discuss.
I watch so you don't have to.
All I'm offering is the truth, nothing more.
Disney has announced that it will no longer release its movies or TV shows on physical media in Australia. Meaning no more DVDs, no more Blu-rays, and no more 4K discs coming from the evil empire if you happen to be one of the consumers living down under. Disney is shifting its focus to digital releases and the Disney Plus streaming service. It appears that Guardians of the Galaxy 3 will be the final Disney production released on physical media in that country.
Oh, there's a big surprise!
Now, to put things in perspective, it should come to the surprise of no one that Disney is making the push for digital releases and streaming. In both cases, they have complete control over how their content is presented to audiences. We're talking about a company that actively sabotages its own catalog of classic films. Whether that be editing things out of the original films that are now deemed to be problematic, or just flat out remaking those classics into soulless cash grabs.
What the hell am I looking at? When does this happen in the movie?
Rehashes that fail to capture the magic that they once had as storytellers. You see, now, with digital releases, Disney can alter people's work whenever they feel like it. They can also push their own new versions of these stories as a way of getting around paying residuals to the people who worked on those original films.
You disloyal fool-ass made punk.
And this is why I've always been an advocate for physical media. It's the best way to preserve films that we love in their original form. It preserves the artistic integrity of past creators and doesn't allow Disney to undermine those people's accomplishments with 2023 ideology. Also, if we look at this decision through an even bigger lens, people forget just how many IPs Disney actually owns at this point. Yes, of course, they own big titles like Star Wars, Marvel, and Indiana Jones. But because of the 20th Century Fox buyout that happened a few years ago, they own the entire content catalog associated with that studio. That involves such franchises as Alien, Predator, Die Hard, and Avatar.
Game over, man. It's game over. What are we gonna do now?
So now you are limiting how many people can add those classics to their collection. Classics that, again, Disney had no hand in creating. Now, to be fair, this is only Australia for now, and Disney does have the built-in excuse of dwindling physical media sales in that market. The issue is the precedence that a decision like this might set.
No, don't like that.
This could be the first step, and it probably was, in ending physical media production in all markets, including right here in the US. And even though I hate Disney with every bone in my body for what they've done to entertainment, the fact remains that right now they are still one of the biggest entertainment companies on the planet. And like it or not, a lot of other studios tend to follow Disney's lead because they've had success for so long.
Stop being a and come on.
This decision could have a domino effect that affects entertainment all the way across the board. Without physical media, studios will be less likely to take chances on smaller films, on original ideas. Without physical media, the artistic integrity of films past and present will not be safe. I know a lot of you enjoy the convenience of streaming, and I do understand that to an extent.
Yeah, but your scientists were so preoccupied with whether or not they could that they didn't stop to think if they should.
But for some of us, there's still something about holding a physical copy of a movie you love in your hand. There's something special about connecting with a film so much that you feel the need to take personal ownership over it. It's a comfort thing. You know that film is always going to be there in your collection when you need it. And it will always be presented to you in the way that the original creator intended. That means unaltered and completely intact.
Don't bother.
Truthfully, owning physical media also reminds a lot of us of our childhoods. It's a constant reminder of a time when you had to work to see a movie that you wanted to see, or a time when you would take a chance on a movie you had no idea about, based purely on the box art and the description on the back. In a lot of ways, I feel like the current digital and streaming release model has made a lot of consumers lazy.
Put some effort into it!
As they aimlessly scroll through a bunch of titles on a streaming service that they ultimately, whether they watch it or not, will have no real connection to. To me, that's the difference between content and actual film or cinema. Honestly, I really do feel bad for the people in Australia, both for the people who collect physical media already, because this will make it harder to do so, and for the people who may one day grow up not even knowing what physical media actually is. It feels like an important part of film history is fading away right before our eyes.
Why do you cry?
And it does frustrate me as a film lover because I understand the implications that could have. My only hope is that Disney's costly decision ends up being a blip in Hollywood and not necessarily a trend. But in reality, this is most likely the beginning of the end for a format that is typically deemed outdated, but holds a greater purpose than some people even realize.
Y'all be cool. Shut up.